UCLA is a university with unlimited possibilities for students that desire world-class academics and research, unmatched diversity, incredible cultural and social opportunities, successful alumni and career networking, first-class campus facilities, plus America's top intercollegiate sports teams. Located in Westwood, just a few miles from the Pacific Ocean, UCLA's 1 square mile campus is surrounded by famous cities such as Bel Air, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and Santa Monica.
Hi everybody, and welcome to UCLA Bruin Talk. I'm Dave Marcus. Naomi Manea is off this week. Of course, most of our viewers think I'm off every week, so there you go. Today, we're going to talk about some spring sports that are just getting into the swing of things. First up, a great program on the rise for UCLA, women's rowing. Before we meet our first guests, let's take a look at the upcoming events. Welcome back to Bruin Talk. Women's rowing is still one of the newer sports on campus, only 10 years, but the Bruins are quickly establishing themselves as a national power. And we're very pleased to be joined by a couple of seniors on the women's rowing team, Caroline Kurson and Eliza Kurji. Welcome to Bruin Talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eliza, you're a coxswain, so you are right in the bow of the boat looking back at your team.
Right.
Tell us what it's been like for 4 years seeing your program rise.
It's been really great. When I got here, it was a really new program, and we had just gone to the NCAAs with our 8s, so that means just the first boat. And my junior year, which was last year, for the first time in history, we made it as a team. We got an NCAA bid as a team, and that was an incredible experience. It was really rewarding to be around the best of the best, and I think that for the youth that came back, it was just an eye-opener to the standard that we have to raise to get there again. So I'm really excited, keeping our fingers crossed that we can be top in the field in the Pac-10 again. So,
Caroline, your season starts this Saturday. You got to be very, very excited about getting underway.
Yeah, I'm really excited. The winter months are rough at times, just training over and over, training every day, knowing that the racing's coming, but sometimes it seems pretty far away. So racing's the fun part, so we're really excited. I mean,
you don't love sitting in the gym working on the ergometer?
Well, I mean, it's all part of it, but just like the racing's where you get to see your competition and see where you're at and just have some fun with it. So
we mentioned that you're both seniors. You're in your 3rd year rowing. You had an injury your freshman year. You had to sit out. How hard was that?
It was really hard. Injuries are something that a lot of athletes have to deal with, but I mean, it was. I had a lot of motivation to come back, and seeing the team do well made me want to be part of it even more. So it was hard, but that seems like a long time ago. So.
Eliza, we talk a lot to the rowers in the boat about the ergometer and working up their cardiovascular. What kind of training physically do you go through to be a coxswain?
Well, coxswains have to be under 110 pounds, and if they're right around 110, that's ideal. So for me, when I started off as a freshman, I had like I was 5 pounds under. So if I were to do anything, I could bike, for example, and build a little bit of muscle, or we could just carry a little bit of weight with us into the boat, which was not a problem. And as I've gotten older and I think my metabolism's slowing down, I'm right around 110, so I'm not really trying to rock the boat. If I do anything, it won't be like, it'll be elliptical or walking, but it won't be anything where I do weights with the team or I build any muscle, because I need to stay around this weight. So.
Now you're just bragging. A lot of people back home are throwing things at the screen right now.
I'm very tiny, so that's why. I'm under 5 feet, so.
When did you decide that you were going to get involved in rowing?
My family friend actually started rowing at a really great high school program called Oakland Strokes back at home.
And you're from Orinda, Northern California.
I'm from Orinda, right. So it was like a 25-minute commute, and my sister got into it. She ended up being a 4-year rower and then moved on to University of Washington. So she was also a coxswain. So I followed in her footsteps, and actually my freshman year I raced her. I was the freshman varsity coxswain and she was the senior varsity coxswain, and we were neck and neck. She won. I'm moving on from that, but that's how I got into it. My sister and a family friend. Yeah.
You're the quarterback of the boat. You have to make
much.
sure the strokes are right on pace. How does one learn that skill?
I think it's just a lot of years of learning how to multitask, and a lot of years of, I think I do so many things on autopilot. Like I'm critiquing someone's blade, but then I'm watching this current and I'm making sure I'm not too far away from the shore, and I'm looking at how fast we're going, and I'm looking at our cadence, and at the same time I can hear my coach telling us the next drill. So I think it just takes a lot of years, and it becomes natural, and you start to just call the shots and just know. I mean, it's difficult because you always have to be on the ball, but it gets easier, I think.
You're in the boat, so you're seeing things that Coach Amy Fuller-Kearney's not seeing from the shore.
I'm feeling things, but she can see everything I see. If she just comes around in the boat, she'll see my vision, but she can't feel the movement of the boat, which I can feel. So,
Caroline, let's talk about the role of the coxswain. When you're in the heat of competition, how important is the coxswain's instruction and direction?
I think it's very, very important. The coxswain basically, like she said, calls all the shots, and it's like the rower, it's kind of an analogy we use a lot, is like the rowers are the horses and the coxswain's the jockey, and like it's very true. Like the rowers, yeah, like we have a lot to think about, like technique and following and trying our hardest and rate and rhythm and all that, but like we can't have all of that without the coxswain calling it. And I mean, Eliza's an amazing coxswain. She has had a lot of experience and knows exactly what she's talking about, and they definitely make or break a boat for sure. Like,
give us an example of something you'd hear during a race. Keeping it clean.
Okay, well, I don't know about a call, but for like a scenario like we're at Pac-10s and there's 6 boats across and we're even with Stanford and USC, the rowers don't always know that. So it's the coxswain's job to say, hey, look, like we're 2 seats down. We need to take 10 strokes and with, I don't know.
Leg drive.
Leg drive rhythm and make this move. We're doing it in 2 strokes, 1, 2 on this one. And like the way they talk, the motivation, the rhythm of their voice, they're like our brain kind of when we row. I guess that's a good way of looking at it.
During a race, do you pace yourself to have a consistent speed and then a finishing kick?
That's kind of a hard question, a little bit, I guess. We have we start from a dead stop, so we have a start sequence where we have like some short strokes and very high strokes to get the boat up to speed, and then we settle into rhythm because your body can't go like that fast forever without dying. So you set into a bit of a rhythm, and then, but I mean, you're still going as hard as humanly possible, you know, for the whole time. But you go into a bit of a rhythm, and then you sprint at the end, like about 250, 300 to go. We start taking the rate, how many strokes per minute, up again to try and get a bit of speed at the end. And
when you finish, have you left it all out on the water?
Yeah, that's the goal.
How long does it take to recover from something like that?
I don't know. You're right at the very end. You're very, very, like, you can barely take another stroke, but then you kind of start to paddle and recover, and it takes about maybe 10 minutes to not fully recover, but to like breathe again.
Eliza, as a broadcaster, I know how important it is to keep your voice in shape. As a coxswain, you've got to be heard to communicate with the rowers.
Right.
What do you do to keep your voice in shape?
You know, I got lucky. I think I might naturally yell from my diaphragm, but one of my really good friends was a coxswain, and she developed cysts in her vocal cords, so that's something to watch out for. And usually by NCAAs, there's heats, semifinals, and finals. And every single piece, you're yelling as hard as you can. So usually by the semifinals, when we're all weighing in, I see all the coxswains and they're drinking tea and they have their honey and they have their cough drops. And I'm just like the same all the time.
You're just chilling.
I just never lose my voice, really. Knock on wood. But I don't have a problem, actually, luckily.
As you look forward to the upcoming season, what meets in particular are you looking forward to? Who do you think your biggest competition is going to be this year?
Well, we're actually going to Virginia for the first time. And Virginia are the defending national champions. And I actually have a couple friends that I rode with competitively in high school, so it'll be exciting to see them, see where they're at. I think that racing the best of the best is a great learning lesson for us, and I think that if we can not be intimidated and if we can hold our heads high and give them a run for their money, I think that will be priceless for going into more competitions. So I think I'm really looking forward to Virginia. I'm looking forward to USC, of course. That's going to be at our home course, and that will be the last. I mean, I'm a senior, right? So that has a lot of emotional value, how that race goes, and Pac-10s, of course, also.
Caroline, your home course is down in the marina. Tell people how they can go see UCLA rowing.
Yeah, it's at Marina Del Rey, and you take the 405 and it's off the 90 west, and if you just take it all the way to the end and then follow there's a bunch of signs to Marina Del Rey. It's on Bologna Creek, so there's like a marina side that we were on, and then there's also the creek, and the creek is our race course, and it's a straight shot, 2,000 meters, and there's a bike course along the whole way that you can actually watch the whole race. So
we talked a moment ago with Eliza about the meets that are upcoming that are going to be of great significance. As a rower, the physical part of it, you're working toward all the time, as you said, as fast as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. How much does the emotional side come into it, and can that sometimes be a detriment?
Yeah, the emotional and mental part of rowing is huge, almost, I'd say, pretty equal to physical. Especially, I think I and a lot of other teammates see it the most on the ergometer. We do a lot of ergometer tests and pieces testing our fitness, and I've done it many times, and I've had days where I'm in a good mood or days when I'm motivated and positive, and then days where it's kind of not what I feel like doing, and it has a huge impact on performance. So I think that has that's huge for race day too, because your teammates feel that too. You know, if you're positive and you have a good attitude and you want to do your best and you believe in your team, believe in your boat, then like you have a better shot going into it, or just better motivation. So for me, like mental is huge.
You heard your coxswain say leg drive a few minutes ago. How do you keep your legs in shape? Legs are a big part of rowing, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically all legs and back, really. People always think it's your arms, but your arms just kind of hold the oar, and legs and back kind of do most of the work, because we try and use our biggest muscles to get the boat moving. So we erg a lot, and we row a lot, and that uses our legs all the time, you know. So like some practices we go out and do like 16,000 meters, just long rowing, and that's just a lot of long endurance training. We also do we're in the weight room twice a week, and we do squats and cleans, and yeah, all for legs.
Come on out and check them out. UCLA Rowing on Bologna Creek out in the marina area, and it's always great to go out there, and as Caroline said, get on your bike and travel down, watch the race. It's really fun. We're going to come right back for more Bruin Talk after this pause for some public service announcements. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
A trophy can be made just about anywhere. But there's one place where champions are made. UCLA, champions made here.
Welcome back to UCLA Bruin Talk. Before we meet our next guest, let's pause for a moment and honor our Student Athlete of the Week. This week we honor Sydney Sawa of the gymnastics team as our Student Athlete of the Week. At the John Wooden Challenge, Sydney contributed outstanding scores in each of her events, with her highest score of 9.9 posted for floor exercise. The team has recently battled back from injuries and conquered the tournament with a score of 196.65. At the previous home meet, Sydney landed a very difficult Yurchenko layout for a full score of 9.75. She even managed to better her score by a 10th on her second rotation. Her performances in each event earned the first all-around title for Sydney. Congratulations, Sydney, and good luck the rest of the way. And you can learn more about Bruin Athletics by following them on the UCLA website, uclabruins.com. We're very pleased to be joined on Bruin Talk by the second-year head coach of the UCLA track team, Mike Maynard. Coach, you ever do a difficult Yurchenko layout?
You know, I've done a few Yurchenkos, but I never landed them, so no points.
How are things going in your second season? Feel a little more comfortable the second time around?
Yeah, you know, I think we've kind of settled in. The coaching staff has gelled, and the team has definitely kind of turned around. I think that we have a good culture going, so we feel pretty good about where we're at.
We talked at the beginning about the spring sports, and you're a sport that's coming out of the dark into the light. You're finishing up the indoor season, working to outdoor. Tell us about how the indoor season went for the Bruins.
Well, we still have, this weekend we've got some final qualifying meets to kind of solidify some of the qualifying positions for our student athletes. Next weekend we're heading to Texas A&M for the NCAA championship. So this is literally these 2 weeks are the transition where we're going to be moving into outdoor. And we're kind of looking forward to it.
I know you've got a great slate of outdoor meets scheduled. You got a dual meet against Oregon, first time in about 40 years.
Yeah, I think it's actually since '76 was the last time, so it's been a while. But that goes along with the philosophy shift, which is to bring back the premier dual and you know triangular scoring meets, because you know, they're the type of meet that they have a score at the end. You've got every event means something, you know, whether it's first place in the 100 meters or third place in the triple jump, every point matters. It's kind of like college football, where every game each week matters and every play matters, and I think it has a great story to tell. So we start out our season actually outdoor in Austin with a scoring double duel against Arkansas and Texas. And then we come back here, and on April 2nd, we have Tennessee. And that also, I believe that meet has not been done in about 30 plus years. And so that's restoring a traditional duel. And then we've got the Rayford JJK and Invitational. Follow that on April 17th, a Sunday, the men duel Oregon. And that, I think that last time that happened was around 75, 76. An interesting thing is I was cleaning out an old file cabinet as we were moving some stuff, and I found the scoring book from 1973, the Oregon versus UCLA duel. And it was kind of interesting to look through there. Prefontaine actually won the mile and the 3 mile at that meet, and it was here at UCLA. So
a lot of our younger viewers probably don't know the way Drake Stadium used to get packed for those duels back in the day.
You know, I've been fortunate to get to know and spend a lot of time with Coach Bush, and you know, the legendary coach. And Coach has talked to me about, you know, they used to have students just hanging out of the dorms watching the meet. It was standing room only at Drake, and they were having world-class track and field, and that's part of the restoration of the program, is to bring that type of thing back.
Well, you talked about restoration of the program. I know that you are really involved in restoration of facilities. At Boise State, you were the spearhead of a great movement to upgrade the facilities. And I know you've got plans for that here at UCLA.
Yeah, I think that, you know, now with Poly being done, probably the last facility on campus that really needs to have, maybe a facelift is Drake Stadium. Drake Stadium is a phenomenal stadium. It's a beautiful venue, sits in probably, I think, the best place in the world for a track. But it does need a little bit of a facelift, and nobody wants to get on a rowboat, and we need to make it look like the yacht it is. So to really restore the flagship of our program is an important thing. And it's really an iconic stadium. You can walk in it and not be aware of the great athletes who've walked through those gates and competed there. And so I think it's important to get that going. And if we want to bring world-class track and field back to UCLA, and I can tell you that that's definitely what we want to do, we need to be able to host a world-class track and field meet. And at this point, we're about 20 years behind, and so we do need to do something there. But the key to restoration of program always comes down to recruiting and developing student athletes still.
And you look far and wide for that. I know you've looked at Europe, looking at Sweden for some athletes. European track obviously huge, so they grow up with it. What's so appealing about getting some people to come over to America from across the pond?
You know, I went to school at Azusa Pacific, and I had some great teammates there. One of my best friends and teammates was Christian Okoye. He's a Nigerian discus thrower who came over and later kind of found fame in the NFL, college and NFL as a football player. But I really enjoyed having Christian on my team because I knew he was one of the best in his age group in the world, and it gave me a chance on a day-by-day basis not only to forge a friendship, but to test myself on a daily basis against one of the best in the world, and really felt that that was an important thing to my development as a student athlete, and owe it to him, you know, a couple of the national championships I won. And so I can tell you that the philosophy of this program is still Southern California first, California, the region, the nation, but ultimately this program also has a strong history and tradition of maybe not numbers, but quality foreign athletes. C.K. Yang, I talked with Ray for a little bit about what that meant to him in his training, and he had similar things to say as I just said about Christian. Otto Bolden, certainly one of the best known, you know, Bruins on the men's side. And recently Eric Emilsson, you know, a Swede who did a great job in the distances. So my goal is not to be heavy foreign, but certainly want to add that international flavor. I read recently where the chancellor has indicated that increasing the international student population was something that they felt was important, and I can't say I probably won't add more than one a year, so I don't know that I'm going to impact that in a great extent, but I think that they'll be visible athletes. So we won't go heavy foreign, but the ones that we get will be quite good.
You never know what's going to happen. Longtime Bruin observers remember Zenon Andrushishin, who came here as a javelin thrower and ended up on the football team.
There you go. Well, I'd like a few to go the other way, too.
Well, you've got a couple of football players on your sprint squad. You got Damian Thigpen, Randall Carroll.
We do.
Those guys are burners.
They do. Nelson Rosario, you know, is also a jumper on our team.
How hard is it to accommodate the spring football schedule with what you're doing out on the track?
Well, it's not really, because Coach Neuheisel does a great job of you know, helping us out. We make sure that our coaches are, you know, integrated with what they're doing, and they have to complete their football duties. But that being said, there's enough time and enough flexibility in the schedules with them not being in season that we have a chance not only to gain some great talent, but also get them ready for spring ball and hopefully keep them, you know, dialed in so that their training is at a higher level when they come to season. So I feel pretty good about it.
As an athlete, you were a thrower, and then you became a throws coach before you got the responsibility as the head coach. Tell us how your athletic training helped you as you moved into the coaching role, and was that something you always wanted to do?
You know, I have to admit, in college, I didn't set out to be a coach. I coached my teammates because my head coach would say, hey, Maynard, go over and help this person out or that person, and I did, and didn't realize I was doing on-the-job training. I think that my athletic background was important in that, you know, I really loved the whole of the sport, and I became a student of the sport, and loved making friends and made a lot of friends on the team. And so when I finished training, I'd go hang out and watch them, and so kind of learned a lot about the sport. And then I was always really interested in the organization of the sport and spent some time with my head coach doing that. I was thinking that I was doing it for later business. Didn't realize that I was, again, doing on-the-job training for being a head coach.
Tell us about some of the athletes who you expect to have prominent roles when this outdoor season rolls around. Well, we redshirted Michael Whipsey, who was the #1 pole vaulter in the country last year in high school. Of course, his brother Greg is a senior on the team. We redshirted Michael because he had a bit of a hamstring injury in high school. He didn't really get it here, but we wanted to make sure that he was healthy and kind of ready to go. So Michael jumped 17.7 in high school last year. That's a big jump. We think he may be capable of over 18 feet as a true freshman. So he's obviously going to be an impact. His brother Greg is having a great indoor season, just rattled the bar off at 17.8 up in Seattle last weekend.
made I think it was 17-2 and 3/4. So we look to be pretty good there. Casey DeCesar, who's also a 17-6, 17-7 guy in the pole vault, rounds out our vault. So we have a good group there. We think we're real strong. You know, I think that in the distance, middle distance right now, we're doing really well. And a large part of that is we're anchored by Corey Prim. Corey Prim is 145, 800-meter runner outdoors. He ran 147.30 a couple weeks ago up in Seattle. And we think he has a shot at vying for the title in a week, you know, as long as he remains healthy.
When you watch him work out, do you have the proverbial stopwatch in your head?
You know what? I watch Corey and enjoy him as a fan and a spectator. Coach Johnny Gray, who works with our middle distance runners, I'll let Johnny hold the watch. I just walk over to him after and say, "How do we do?" And you know what's going on here. And he's really excited. Johnny is really excited about what Corey's potential is, both indoor and outdoor.
Is there good camaraderie between the field athletes and the track athletes on the team?
Yeah, one of the things that I tried to do, you know, when I came in was really kind of get a little bit better articulation between the groups. So I moved the throwers into the main weight room with everybody else, and we kind of put the throwers and decathletes together. And then when we roomed the athletes, we assign rooms, so maybe a throwers rooming with a distance runner and a distance runner with a sprinter and a sprinter with a, you know, a multis athlete. And so we really want to kind of get the networking of the team done. And that's been a real positive thing. So they're a pretty tight group.
I know decathlon is a special place in your heart. Jim Thorpe was told you're the greatest athlete in the world when he won the Olympic decathlon. It really does test every skill set, doesn't it?
It does. And I think that in a way, they're kind of the glue for the team. I think that a great championship team must have a couple of good decathletes. It's part of my philosophy. I think that the way that they kind of to continue on the whole idea of networking, that the way that they network and interact with all the different elements of the team really kind of brings some cohesiveness to the team. And they also work with all the coaches, so they kind of really bring the group together. Everybody cheers for them, they know everybody, and they're really an important part of what we do. You know, we got a great recruit this year. We signed the bronze medalist from the World Junior Championships. He's a Swede, as a matter of fact, named Marcus Nielsen, and so we're really excited to have him.
Well, Coach, I think everyone at UCLA is really excited to have you. Congratulations on your second season and a long future with the Bruins.
Thank you very much. Go Bruins.
And thank you for joining us on UCLA Bruin Talk. Naomi will be back with us next week. We'll have another great show for you. Until then, so long from Westwood.